Let's talk about Longlegs, why he did it, how he did it, and what it all really meant. I already made a video talking about the story and its ending. If you want to check out that video, go check it out. I'll briefly go over it here before we get into the whole thing, maybe less than a minute. But before we get any further into the video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. We're on the road to 35,000 subscribers, super close to that. Let's get to that before July ends. Let's talk about Longlegs, in which we basically saw Lee Harker, played by Micah Monroe, hunt down Nicolas Cage's character of Longlegs. Of course, there's going to be spoilers starting right now, so you've been warned. But what we find out is that Longlegs wasn't working alone in these murders. He had an accomplice. Lee finds out that the accomplice was actually her mother, who was the one taking the dolls to the families. These dolls would then have the father commit crimes on the family and himself, and we saw that she was doing this in order to protect Lee, because Lee was actually one of the victims in the very early career of Longlegs that he wanted to get, and she said, if you spare her, I will help you do these killings. Now, how exactly were they doing these killings? Well, Longlegs was a doll maker. He was making these dolls, and he was putting these orbs inside of them and putting an essence of his soul inside these orbs. Once the dolls would infiltrate the family, because Lee Harker's mother would bring these to the family. The excuse here was that the church was sending a present to the daughters because their birthday was coming up, and that's why they would accept these dolls, because she was dressed like a nun, and these were very Catholic families. That's one of the things that Longlegs really targeted on, was these very religious families. And so a nun bringing you a gift, that just sounded like, oh, that's amazing. That's why we're continuing going to the church, right? But the thing was that these dolls would, in a sense, have Nicolas Cage's character of Longlegs inside of them. And this presence would infiltrate the father and the family, and would have like the daughters and the wives be in this sort of catatonic state. The same state that we see Kiernan Shipka's character of Carrie Ann be in, but more on her in a bit. But the fathers would have these very dark, intrusive thoughts that they needed to kill the wife, they needed to kill the children, and then themselves ultimately. And why exactly was Longlegs wanting this to happen around the dolls? My opinion, and from reading the Birthday Murders website, is that Longlegs wanted to capture the souls and the essence of these good religious families, and in a sense appease Satan, the devil, Lucifer, whatever you want to call them, because they were doing these blasphemous things to these religious people. I mean, how blasphemous can this get? The father who's supposed to provide and protect their family is now the one who is hunting them down and slaughtering them. And I believe Longlegs found this amusing and thought that Satan himself would find it amusing as well, because he always talks about the man downstairs, of course talking about Satan. And so we saw that he was doing these in a calculated manner, however, because we see when Micah Monroe's character of Lee Harker is writing down the dates and all of that, they in turn turn into an upside down triangle, which of course comes from the 9 circles of hell as a rune from hell. So Longlegs was very calculated in who the girls were going to be, because he wanted it always to be the girls whose birthday fell on the 14th. And it was either 6 days prior or after, because 666 is the number of the beast, and the number 14 because they would talk about Revelation 13:1, which of course talked about the 2 beasts with the 7 heads and the 10 crowns. And in turn, we have the 2 beasts who are Longlegs and Ruth Harker, Lee Harker's mother. And the 14 is because Revelation 13:1, 13 plus 1 is 14. So in their head, this seemed like that was just logical to do, and it was a ritual that they were trying to accomplish here. I'm not saying that this is something of a true ritual or not, but you know, these people were very much so deranged by that time. And Longlegs, of course, coerced Ruth to do all of this, because we saw that Micah's character of Lee Harker saw when Longlegs had tied up Ruth and was about to take Lee and all of that, but then Ruth pled to Longlegs, please let her be. I will do whatever you need me to do. That's that. So we talked about the souls and all of that, but Longlegs really got all of this, I believe, from The Golden Bow, which is a book that they talk about in the Birthday Murders website. In this book, they talk about different religion, magic, science throughout the ages, and this is actually a real book you can get. And there is specific pages that Longlegs left behind some of the crimes that they committed over the years, and some of these pages talk about the soul and about a voodoo king as well that would poison with his clothes. And I believe in this case, maybe he poisoned the dolls with his soul. You see that he kisses it, he breathes into it, sort of giving this bad enigma to the doll that it carries around. Once Ruth Harker delivers this bad enigma inside the doll, that's when the family snap. There's also a book page that was released this week on the Birthday Murders, which is interesting, that talks about pictures, and I'll talk more about that in a bit. But basically, I believe that Ruth and Longlegs were just working together in order to kill as many families and do these blasphemous acts in the name of the devil himself. I think that Ruth, of course, didn't really want to do all of this, but she was just protecting her child. She was a very overprotective mother as well. We hear it throughout the movie that she would not have anybody come over and it just be them all the time. And she was going to do whatever it took to have her be safe. Longlegs, on the other hand, I believe was this very, very perverse person that was just wanting to see horrific acts happen onto humans, and they wanted to appease this greater evil, which was the devil, so they just found whatever they could find. And he just got so fixated on algorithms, on numerology and things like that, very fascinated with magic, the occult, and that's why I believe we're able to come across a way to be able to transfer pieces of themselves into the dolls in order to be able to infiltrate the families and have them commit these crimes. But it goes even deeper into the Birthday Murders website about all of this, of different texts and things like that. I think that the number 9 was very significant because of the 9 circles of hell. And I went into a theory during some of my breakdowns of the website that I believe he was trying to make these different murders sort of be together with the 9 circles of hell. Like each murder would be a different circle and an effort that maybe he thought that he could live on forever or bring forth this evil. And I believe that now that we have this doll with Ruby, the last doll that was ever made by Longlegs before they killed themselves, there is an essence of Longlegs there. And my thing is, once Harker was going to shoot that doll, that would have been maybe the end of it? Or does Harker believe that there is still an essence of Longlegs in her if she kills a doll? So maybe she just wants to leave the doll and maybe just preserve it there and keep it forever so Longlegs can't spread, right? Because where would the essence go if she shoots it, right? I think that's what the ending could possibly mean, why she kind of wasn't able to shoot it and just was standing there looking at it. Or you could look at it that also the evil was the one that didn't allow this to happen, or it was all coincidental. But when it comes to pictures, we do know that Lee Harker did take a picture of Longlegs when she met him earlier on, and there is a passage here that says the soul that was left at one of the crime scenes. If you look at the Birthday Murders website, it says, as with shadows and reflections, so with portraits, they are often believed to contain the soul of a person portrayed. People who hold this belief are naturally loath to have their likeness taken, for if the portrait is the soul, or at least a vital part of the person portrayed, whoever possesses the portrait will be able to exercise a fatal influence over the original of it. And it goes on to talk about certain people around the globe that don't like pictures taken because of this. So my thoughts are, seeing Harker take that picture made me think back of this, which I was reading the day before I watched the movie, is that Longlegs felt a connection to Lee and didn't really harm Lee either, because they knew that Lee possessed this picture, and so his soul was always going to be there. And I think that that is what gave them a sort of bond connection in a way. Also the fact that Longlegs was doing these dolls right under Lee's house without any of her knowledge until the very end. And Ruth, I think, just doing all of these crimes made her snap, and she even said that she's seen some gruesome things over her life being a nurse, but it really was the gruesome things she was doing with Longlegs that she just remembers and can't let go. And this is what sort of had her snap, and she fell victim to all of this, and I think that's what made her really just go crazy by the end, thinking that she still had to do all of this for Longlegs even though he was already dead, or else they would just burn in hell. Because I think Longlegs being there in their home all these years just caused her to finally snap. So it's a very interesting film, I think. And I think that a lot of it is very lost in the film, because I think it really relies on you to look through the Birthday Murders website and get a sense of all of this. But the orb in itself, there really isn't much of an explanation of how it's done, but it's just implied that he sort of maybe read about these kings and these people in the past that did these magic rituals for the occult and were able to leave fragments of themselves in pieces of clothing or food, and then that would poison whoever came across it, and pretty much you could control them, almost like hypnotizing them in a way. And that's all comes from the book The Golden Bow, which is a book that's talked about on the Birthday Murders website that Longlegs apparently left passages of throughout. Revelations 13:1 as well, I think that they wanted to bring forth the end, the Antichrist of sorts, and they were trying to collect souls to appease the devil himself. But overall, that's pretty much what I got of why they were doing it, how they did it. They were using Ruth Harker to sort of be this decoy of sorts, so nobody would ever suspect that a nun would be the one who was an accomplice to a madman like this, especially good Catholic church going families, as they all were according to the Birthday Murders website. So they were all tricked and duped by the devil himself pretty much. Really, honestly, we'll be talking more about this film because I really enjoyed it. I'm watching it again this weekend. I'm gonna see if I find anything else, and then I do have a video called Everything Explained, which will come out next week, probably a 30-40 minute video where we'll go over the whole story, the symbolism, and all of that. This is the channel you got to stick around with, so make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell. Let's get to 35,000 subscribers, and as always, that's gonna do it for me. Check out our review, our ending explained. We also have a video on The Substance, and I want to talk about Nora as well later this weekend, so stay tuned. But as always, I'll see all of you next time. 35,000 subscribers is the goal. www.culturalelixir.com is our website. You can also follow us on Twitter and TikTok at Cultural Elixir. I'll see you next time. Stay safe, stay positive.